We're going lender shopping.
You better get fired up.
Let's talk lenders, baby. Happy Friday, by the way. Good Friday. I would call it great Friday. So lenders, I believe personally, if you are a buyer and you're out there hunting for your house, hunting for the best deal with a lender, I think you're crazy if you don't talk to at least two lenders, right? I think three is best. I like three, but at least two lenders, right? I'm going to give you a couple reasons why. Number one, their costs are going to be different, right? And some of them are going to put it all into an origination fee and say, hey, we've got no other fees. Look at how great we are. But their origination fee is incredibly high. So it makes up for all those other fees. All they're doing is putting it into one fee, right? Whereas a lot of other people might have more fees, but when you add them all up, they're less expensive than the origination fee, right? So ask them what their total costs are and ask them to send it to you in an email in writing. Why? Because I can tell you, I've had a lot of people ask their lenders what their fees are, and they will give them one fee. It's usually their origination fee. And then come closing, they've got all the other fees. And I'll give you an example. One will be a processing fee, and they'll say, well, that's not for me, that's for my processor, right? And is it being done manipulatively or not? I don't know. I honestly don't care. The way to protect yourself is to ask them for it in writing. Now, when you get to closing and you say, hey, I asked for all lending costs. Here's the email. When I asked, you said all lending costs included your origination fee only. I want all these other fees removed. You've got a leg to stand on, right? Whereas if you don't ask for that, you're going to have those fees and there's not a lot you can do about it. So absolutely get those in writing. Here's another thing. Now you can shop A to B, right? You can look at the different lenders and you can say all of their fees compared to all of their fees. Where am I at? Now, am I going to go with the cheapest one? Not always, right? It matters. It's certainly an aspect of it, but no, there's more to it, right? Here's another part, the rate. Now, if they know your shopping rate, right? If you're shopping expenses, they'll get the expenses really low, but that might cause the rate to go up a little bit. Not always, but sometimes. If they know your shopping rate, they're going to buy down the rate and add it as points, right? You pay points. That's what it's called. Really, you're paying money. That's all you need to know to get your rate lower. You're just saying, hey, you're going to make so much money off of me over the span of a loan. We're going to upfront give you some of this cost, some of this expense, some of this profit for you, Mr. Lender, so that you can reduce our rate, which means you're going to lose the money on the rate, but you'll make it up front. So they'll do that, right? So if you're not paying attention to cost, but all you're shopping is rate, they can get that rate lower. That's not a problem at all, right? So you want to see all of the numbers combined. What is your rate plus what are your expenses, your fees in total? Here's another thing. Every lender has a certain amount of products they have access to. So I worked with Wells Fargo when I was in Minnesota, and the challenge I had with Wells Fargo all the time was if you were an AA plus buyer, man, they were great. They had the greatest loans. It was awesome. But most people aren't A plus buyers, right? I would say 80% of buyers have a 600 credit score, maybe even high fives. Even in that, 7 to maybe 719 range, you might not be the best buyer for that bank, right? There were other lenders that would have better products. The reason is Wells Fargo only offered Wells Fargo products. And I'm not trying to beat up on Wells Fargo. There's a lot of banks like this. I'm just saying, if you go to another lender, they might be shopping 30 different lenders, right? They're kind of a middleman, and they're shopping 30 different lenders for you to see which one fits you best. Now, I might come in and they use a specific lender, but that same lender you're working with you, because your credit's different, your income's different, whatever it is, they might use a different lender. They've got different options depending upon your situation. Well, if you work with a brand new lender who's got a brand new business, doesn't have as many relationships with these different lenders, they're not going to have as many options, right? Whereas if you work with someone traditionally, right, correlationally, who's a little bit more seasoned, more experienced, they're aggressively going out and trying to build these relationships. They have a high amount of sales, because a lot of these lenders won't work with you unless you have a certain amount of sales. They're going to have more options. So really, you could have two phenomenal lenders, and one's just going to be able to offer you a better loan product, right? So it's great to get in there and shop and see, hey, in my particular situation with my particular cash on hand plus my credit profile. What is best for me that you have availability to? And it's going to differ. So you're looking at product availability. You're looking at the total expenses out of pocket at closing or the lender's fees. And you're looking at the rate, right? Here's a fourth thing. How good is the lender? I'll tell you, I've worked with a lot of lenders. I've worked with lenders who write pre-approval letters and they mean literally nothing because they haven't even looked at your stuff, right? I've looked at other lenders' pre-approval letters, and maybe the letter looks okay. It's not great. It looks okay. But knowing that lender, I know they've gone in deep and really looked at everything. They've ran the different situations. They've explained a lot to the client before they even put the offer in. So I am very confident that it's going to go through. I also see aggressiveness levels as a listing agent. If I get 3 offers and one of the offers, and maybe it's not even the best offer, has a lender who calls me and says, Joe, I want to let you know, I've done 4 loans with this person before. They've got 100 grand in cash. They only need 35 grand for this transaction. So they're very cash heavy. Their credit score is in the high 700s. And I've had 0 problems with them in the past. I don't anticipate any problems here. I also have proof of funds for you so you can see they've got the amount of money that I'm telling you. And wow, that lender is incredibly valuable to you as a buyer because your odds of getting that offer accepted go up. I'll tell you too, it's very common, especially if you have out of state lenders or even out of area lenders, newer lenders. It's very common for them to be phenomenal up front and then ghost you once you go under contract, right? And they just don't pick up their phone. You got to email them. It's the only way to contact them. Well, some of these conversations, yes, I can email you my question, but the response to my question is going to elicit one of maybe 3 or 4 different questions, which the response to that question is going to elicit another question. And I might have 3, 4, 5 questions as a buyer, as a buyer's agent, as a listing agent, right? If I can't get in touch with you, that's going to be a problem. So I really think looking at Google reviews, getting recommendations from your realtor, whoever your realtor is, really ask your realtor, who should I work with in your opinion? Guess what? That realtor is paid a commission. They want it to close. The lender that they give you is likely the lender that in their perception is the best and has the best chance of closing your loan. Well, guess what? That's in your best interest too, right? So asking your realtor who they recommend as a lender is a huge help, and it's a huge indicator of someone who likely has a really good chance of getting that loan closed without any major problems, right? So guys, there are a series of different things that I'm looking at, that I'm asking as a buyer's agent. They're recommendations I'm giving my buyers, and they're things I would consider when you're out looking for loans as well. If you need a recommendation, you can always put a comment down below. I'll get back to you, or if you're on Facebook, you can DM me and I'll certainly get back to you. Guys, I appreciate you joining me, and have an absolutely amazing Easter weekend.